doctors are human, so, and God knows better, so he led us there. And it was a Tuesday that we met with the doctor there for a consultation, just kind of like a meet and greet. And she planned that the surgery happened a week from the following day, so next Wednesday. And to have only part of it removed, as much as she could without having devastating side effects. And so we come home, or we come back to Granbury, try to pack up our things and get ready for it, and he starts to decline tremendously. And I was actually out in town, and he calls me not knowing exactly where he was. I mean, he could say that he was at my parents' house, but he could just tell something was really up. And I was with Brittany, and she was able to call her parents, and they were able to go over with Tate until I got there and make sure that he felt loved and safe. And
I better remember that now. I remember it. That's crazy. No, seriously, I
So then we just were going to drive straight to Houston and go into the emergency center there. And God was with us the entire way. People were praying for us. And once we got there, he was admitted into a regular hospital room. And the next morning, he declined mentally. He knew he was going to die. He felt like he was going to die. He couldn't concentrate on anything else. He started having really anxiety attacks. And then they transferred him to the ICU, which was the room with like the big glass door and everything. And
I just remember that, like the other day. I just remember what it looked like. But I remember seeing my mom there. I think you went out to go get something real quick, like a meal or something. But I remember seeing my mom, and she sang, like, was she singing when I was real little? I can't remember.
It was like a little VBS song.
Yeah, but she sang, and I was like, she cannot be real, you know? I was like, that is not my mom, you know? She's not singing me, you know? But it was really, I was like, I knew I was going to die, so I was like, Mom, I'm still here. I'm fine. And right then, I just remember passing out. But I remember waking up and telling her, hey, I love you, you know, I'll be gone. And then I passed out. So.
And another incident that happened in the ICU, I had stepped out to talk to the neurosurgeon about kind of the game plan. And all of a sudden, she gets a phone call saying, Tate tried to escape from his room. And I'm like, what do you mean he tried to escape? But he remembers that just as like looking at his hand, and he had an IV, and he had pulled that out. He remembers just being outside of the room, seeing a lot of blood.
And this was before my head was...
Before the surgery.
Yeah. So, I was like, what in the world? And with blood everywhere. I mean, all over the floor, and I'm like, that's not me. Someone's hurt, you know? Oh, that's me. Passed out right then and there, but I don't know.
So then the next day started the 20-hour surgery. It lasted so long because the tumor was bleeding, and they couldn't control the bleeding, so they had to give him a blood transfusion, which means giving him blood from somebody else. And then he woke up. He started at 8 a.m. and ended at 4 a.m. And about 5 hours later, he still had the breathing tube in, and he wasn't opening his eyes or anything. But the nurse would come in ICU. They do it like once an hour just to come check on him. And they do where they check out his pupils. Well, the pupils were just like millimeters of difference within each other. And that showed the nurse that something was up. I mean, just something that small. It just shows how complex and amazing God made the body. So they went in and or I say they went in, they did another CT scan, which just was like an x-ray of the brain, and it showed that the tumor was bleeding within itself. It could have been worse. It could have been within the brain, and the blood mixed with the brain is not a good combination, but at the same time, it was bleeding, and it could kill him that day. So, and at this point, they had only taken about 40% of the tumor out, just because of damaging side effects that could happen with taking out the whole tumor. But since the tumor was bleeding within itself, they had to remove it, and otherwise he would die. So that lasted just about 6 hours or so. But he came back, and just, I updated the Praying for Tate page as much as I could, and with all the praises, and the neurosurgeon really was just flat out told me that she would be praising God if he was just still in there, like if he wasn't, if he would still be Tate, she would be praising God, and it's just another one of a part of God's awesome plan to have us surrounded by Christians, and just feeling the love with everybody. And so anyways, the very next day, he grabbed my hand, or I grabbed his hand, and he started to do our little handshake, like our little secret.
Oh, wow, I did? It's like I remember a drink.
Yeah. Secret.
Like this?
Yeah.
Or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and this was like with the steroids and medications that he was on, he wasn't able to speak or say yes or no, which is just a miracle that he was able to show me that he was still in there. And, God knows what we need. We may pray for miraculous healing that day, but along this journey, it's been a slow but very steady, maybe 3 steps forward and 2 steps back, but it's been very slow and steady, and given us hope each and every single day. And I've told people before, I wonder if God did answer the prayers of allowing Tate to be healed to his full potential, would we be wanting more the very next day? And would we never put our full faith in him if we didn't see that progress? So, okay. But anyways, he remembered the parts that he remembers in the hospital is he got sick one time, or for about 2 weeks, and it was contagious. I just couldn't come in contact with any of his stool. So everybody who came into the room, we had to wear these big, very attractive yellow gowns and blue gloves.
She was wearing it to sleep every night. To sleep.
You don't know what's going to happen.
I didn't know any of that. I was like, what?
Then he starts, he's able to transfer over to the rehab facility that's just like right across the street. And, he did start vocalizing when he was at MD Anderson, the hospital. It was not words, it was yelling. And it sounded like he was in pain. And the first time I heard it, my heart just sank and broke. But the head nurse assured me that they would watch his blood pressure and everything that hints toward pain if they're not able to express it. And so that was just another time that just really tore at me. But when he transferred over to Tier Memorial Herman, he started talking, but he still wasn't himself.
Yeah.
He was a bad boy.
I remember. I remember kind of what happened. It's not the good part, but I mean, I never said anything bad. I never said anything bad, but I was bad to the guys that
You're honoring.
honoring, yeah. And I remember, like, they wore, what do they call it?
They put a mitt on him that was just padded on one side and mesh on the other to make him not able to pick at his scab and get it infected.
I thought this was a game. I knew how to take it off. And so I took it off and put it right here. And I said, come get it. I did not know it was real. And so I remember like just barely picking at it and waiting for she was there the whole time. I never saw her. But then they came in and again brought another one. So I'm like, man, so okay. Now I took it off. And I said, it's right here, you want it? And put another one on. So another 3 and I waited until I went to sleep and took this again. But it's crazy. He didn't want to touch them. I didn't know it was real. I would have, you know, if I'd have known it was this, then I would have stopped. But the whole time I played around. Oh, he came with a helmet. It was weird. He came with a helmet. He came with a hand thing. I thought it was like not real because he brought a helmet in the what's it called?
Mitt.
The mitt. I was like, no, this is not real. I'm taking it off. And I'll take off the thing on my hand. I took the helmet off. It was crazy. And nowadays, I brought home with me the helmet. I should have brought it. But I'll bring it someday. And I brought it just to show me every time, like, hey, look, this is real, you know? Like, the way you're talking, the way your head is, like, it's real. You can put that on your head if you want. But, you know, I leave it on the counter all day long just so I can look at it and believe, like, okay, this is real. Because if you see that helmet, you won't believe it's real. So.
It was just hard because when he was at Tier was when he started to remember things and really kind of wake up, I guess, mentally. And so he doesn't remember anything after the surgery. So he remembers going to the hospital when he was really sick, and then he woke up here with the helmet, the mitt, and then a tube sticking out of his belly.
Yeah.
And
all the way out. And every day they hold that thing up and pour some water, then pour some, what's it called?
just like formulas.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't swallow.
Then pour some water. I mean, they kept pouring. I was like, all right already. You know? That's a lot. And thankfully I got to take it off. And,
Next Friday.
yeah, next Friday. You can see the later. Go ahead.
So slow progressions and everything, and a lot of people say to me, you know, you're so strong. I don't know how you do it, and all I can say is God. God did it. God gave me strength, and honestly, throughout the deployment, even God was there for me and us with strength, because if you concentrate on the bad or human stuff and don't keep your eyes on Him, then it'll just eat you up inside and just go from your stomach outward. There were a couple nights that I felt like that, but all I had to do was just pray to God, ask Him just to take out those nasty feelings and just fill me with peace. And it would start on my toes, and then it would just work its way up. And sometimes you think God gives you things like it gives you a sense of peace within just your head, but this was a physical peace that He was able to give me, and it's just, I don't know. He started off, I want to say, well, he started off ever since I was born. Don't get me wrong, but he started off the strength process with Abigail.